Hello everyone and welcome back to another Batman miniature game 3rd edition battle report. Apologies in advance if I sound a bit hoarse or anything like that, just getting over a second dose of the COVID vaccine, so just a little rough, so apologies in advance for any narration hiccups or anything like that. Anyway, today for you we have a 350 rep match between a Flashpoint Batman led Soldiers of Fortune crew against the new releases for the Penguin, well most of them, not all of them, but most of them. So it's an Emperor Penguin led Penguin list on the new table setup that you can see. And with that, I think we're ready to take a look at the two crews and get started. So here is the 6 minis in the Soldiers of Fortune crew, being led as previously stated by Flashpoint Batman with his dual handguns. Oh, as the dog knocks into my leg. The dual handguns upgrade. He's a sidekick, but because there's no leader present, that means he can be the leader. He's joined by Malicia on his left, who has a backpack, and then the Infiltrate Op is just really, really good. Then we have Sharpshooter from the Bane box. We have Cuchillo, who has a grapple gun and a camo vest. He's pretty decked out. And then, to fill up the points, Eraser. Original version of this list had Psycho Pirate in it, but that was just for playing digitally. Don't have his miniature yet in the studio, so can't use him in this list, so Eraser is stepping in instead. And here is the Emperor Penguin led Penguin crew. 8 minis in this crew, and it is the new, I think, is he called Rebirth? Emperor Penguin, something like that. Anyway, he has a reverse protect me. He wants people to aggro him because getting hit makes him stronger, makes him deal out more damage, etc. He's much more punchy than Penguin is. He's joined by Thug 1 and Thug 2 from the Penguin Bat box. He's got a mag and a silencer, and he has a grapple gun. His sidekick is Loose Lips. And then we have the Penguin Associates. Mr. Toxic, Imperceptible Man who has a radio, Hypnotic, and Mr. Combustible, or Incombustible. I think they mean the same thing. Like flammable, inflammable. Not sure. Either way, that's all the new Penguin Associates. The only things that are missing from the new release is that new biker and the large guy with the stop sign. So this is the crew as it stands. Now on Emperor Penguin's card he has the old version of Underworld King. Not sure if that's a mistake, or if he gets the old version and Penguin gets the new version. Don't know, honestly, at this point, don't know. But either way. So here we are at deployment. The Soldiers of Fortune crew are deployed to your left. The Infiltrate Op, of course, has hidden, so that's why she is up ahead, hidden behind this watchtower here. Forgot to mention when going over the list, since it is relevant for some of their objective cards. In terms of how many people in the Soldiers of Fortune crew are veteran, it's everybody except Flashpoint Batman and Eraser. So that is 4, essentially. And if we take a look, this is where the Emperor Penguin crew has deployed, basically in a line, and you can see who has Audacity there. The Thug with the triple blood assault rifle is up there, and then Mr. Incombustible is over there because he acts as a light source, so he's a liability for the rest of his crew. But it is the Penguin crew going first, or Emperor Penguin, apologies. No crew playing a Phase 1 or Phase 2 card, so it's just straight into Battle Round 1. The Imperceptible Man got the game started for Emperor Penguin's crew. He was hidden behind that tree there. He didn't have Audacity, but he's a henchman. The Penguin Associates are all henchmen except Mr. Toxic, who's a free agent. So he had a free Inspire. He walked around the tree, just came out of 2 inches. He is touching the sewer grating there as well. He put down a suspect marker during his turn, not connected to what he did specifically, but he did play Profitable Negotiation. So you look at the opponent's hand, you pick a when to play Phase 3 objective card, and if they don't score it, then you score this card. So, Flashpoint Batman's crew has to score Cyber Attack this turn, or this will score for 2. Malicia was first to activate for Flashpoint Batman's Soldier of Fortune crew. She was rather down there next to the Sharpshooter, with Audacity, but also within range of him barely for a free Inspire. He's over on the left there. She punched out the light to plunge the sniper into darkness to give him a better chance of surviving. He is in cover as well. She, for a special action, did Super Jump, which was a 6-inch move forwards. Then she actually just did a little move to position herself next to Infiltrate Op. She put down a suspect marker using the free Inspire from Flashpoint Batman, and because of how close Imperceptible Man is, that met the criteria for Black Ops. Put down a suspect marker out of line of sight, but within 8 of an enemy model. So, yeah, done for 2. Hypnotic was up next, without Audacity, but close enough for that Inspire as well. He moved up his 8 and put down another suspect marker. Didn't do anything else. Cuchillo activated, who was next to Flashpoint Batman with Audacity as well, but that gave him a free Manipulate via Inspire. He moved up to the lamp over here and took it out to limit the options that the assault rifle that does triple blood on the other side has. He then used that free inspire to put down a suspect marker, and during his activation he played the cyber attack card in an effort to get it. So it was 1d3 plus 2, it became a 1, adding up to 3. So there is now a 3 on both of those suspect markers, and it counts down on every subsequent model's activation, not just enemy. So if they're both still there when it hits 0, this will score, and profitable negotiations will not. So the man himself, Emperor Penguin, activated next, and it's Emperor Penguin Unchained, that's what he's called. I guess on purpose, because the old Emperor Penguin miniature has the chain around his waist, but he's swinging it around in his nightcoat. So he moved over here, and the only thing he did with his turn was remove his own suspect marker to turn it into loot. So he is now holding onto the loot for the rest of the game if he can help it, and that does mean that if they're willing to remove that suspect marker in, well, one turn, because someone on Soldiers of Fortune is going to activate first, then that will stop cyber attack from scoring. Well, not to be outdone by Emperor Penguin, Flashpoint Batman activated with Audacity. He moved up here. He is removing that suspect marker right there, and is also turning it into loot, which he will be holding on to until the end of the game if he can help it. Mr. Toxic activated with Audacity. He hopped forward and he had little choice. He removed the suspect marker that Hypnotic put down. That does mean that cyber attack can't score because both suspect markers have been removed just in time. So that's just going to be discarded, and it does also mean, if we reach over here, that profitable negotiations just scored. I mean, it does say at the end of the round, but the card can't score, so we're just going to score it now for their crew, putting them on the board for 2. Eraser activated without Audacity, and he just moved up his 8 inches. He moves over to there, but during his turn, a global offensive was played, so it's have more friendly models with the veteran trait and play than there are enemy suspects. It scores at the end of the round, but you have to play it during an activation. As said, there is 4 veterans on the Soldiers of Fortune side, so I think there's there is 4 models left to go for Emperor Penguin's crew, but 2 of them are out of Inspire range, I think. So it's very unlikely they'll be able to stop that unless they suddenly murder a couple of veterans. So the Loose Lips activated for Emperor Penguin's crew next, and he had a super efficient turn. He moved up to where you can see him, and then as a resource he played This Is Mine. Target an enemy suspect marker within 8, put a friendly suspect marker in contact with it, then remove the enemy suspect marker. He removed that suspect marker, put a friendly one there. He then used Order as a special action to order Hypnotic to put down a suspect marker, which he did. And again, if you have the old Loose Lips card, he has been updated in the app and the version on the website, so check that out if you haven't. And then for his own actual tactical action, he put down a suspect marker. So just like that, with one person's turn, they've got 3 out of the 4 required to stop global offensive scoring, which is really good. So it was the Sharpshooter to activate next for the Soldiers of Fortune crew. Second last activation for them, they still have Infiltrate Op. Now unfortunately for Loose Lips, he left himself within 4 of one of the few remaining lights that wasn't smashed already. So the Sniper readied his quadruple blood sniper rifle, 2 shots plus the strength die, shot downfield, and Loose Lips got hit by every shot. That is 12 blood. He is dead. Didn't score anything on the kill, but did punish him for his actions. He's got reload, which I think I just said, which means he won't be able to fire that sniper next turn. At the start of his activation though, as a resource, Domination was played. Move a suspect marker or drone marker 4 inches can only be played at the start of activation. The suspect marker that was in base to base with Loose Lips is now in base to base with Malicia. Thug 1, who was kitted out with the grapple gun activated with Audacity, he used his grapple gun to shoot down 14 in total down here, and he put down a suspect marker. That's the 4th, so if nothing changes, that is enough to counteract global offensive. And also with him placing that, Good Raid has scored. A friendly model places a suspect marker, and you have at least 2 more in play than your opponent. It's currently 4-0 thanks to the shenanigans earlier, so that has scored for another 2 points. So the Infiltrate Op, who did eventually move, since she obviously can't see her right now, had little choice. She used her special action Hacking. She can move 2 markers within 8 to 4 inches. She moved the 2 suspect markers close to her, right into base to base. She used her tactical action to reveal one of them, and she has a hench person, and she was just within 8 of Flashpoint Batman over there, so she used the Free Manipulate to reveal the other one. So that's 2 of the markers gone. She then did a movement action back the way because she doesn't want Emperor Penguin to catch up with her, and that does give her some potential firing lines for next turn. And she has Master of Stealth, so she's only visible within 4. That is it for the turn for Soldiers of Fortune though, so there's 2 Penguin Thugs left to go. So we can cover both those activations. This Thug just moved up to the edge to give him a better line of sight. Even with being plunged into darkness, he'll still be able to see them if they move forwards at all next turn. And Mr. Combustible was next to that Surge Ring. He used it for his one action because he has no Audacity. And he popped up all the way down here, which is risky. But there you have it. And that does take us to the end of Battle Round 1. So there is no Phase 4 cards being played by either side at the end of Battle Round 1, so we just need to look at the cards in play. Both sides have valuable commodities being held by their leaders, which is fun, so those are just in play until the end of the game. Global Offensive does score, so Loose Lips died for nothing basically, but it was a really good attempt. So that has scored for 3, and yeah, everything else, there was no stun damage to heal because everybody was just, well, everybody wants blood in this match. So yeah, we're going to jump into Battle Round 2. I forgot to mention, but the Soldiers of Fortune do have +1 to the take the lead role in general because of Flashpoint Batman being a mastermind, or a tactician. He has both roles. And they did not use any passes there, so it's very likely they'll be going first. So here is how the board looks at the top of turn 2, and it is the Soldiers of Fortune taking first activation, although only just. With the +1 from Flashpoint Batman, with the extras from unused passes, they actually only drew with the roll for Penguin's crew, but in the case of a draw, the team that didn't go first last time takes it, so that's the only way they won it. There's one Phase 1 card being played by the Soldiers of Fortune. It's another Domination. We saw it as a resource earlier. Place an event marker in contact with an enemy model. Anyone can manipulate it with a manipulate action to move it 4. At the end of the round, have more friendly models than enemy models within 4 to score. It has been placed in base to base with Thug 1 right there. And you can see who has Audacity, Combustible does, Mr. Toxic, Hypnotic, and Emperor Penguin, Malicia, Infiltrate Op, and if we come around here, Eraser and Flashpoint Batman, they also have Audacity. So with that, let's jump in. Malicia got Battle Round 2 started for the Soldiers of Fortune crew. She made use of her 1 Venom dose for 2 free efforts +1 to her strength rolls. She super jumped into base to base with Thug 1 or Thug 2. He only has 4 willpower, so he didn't effort. It might have been better for him if he did, because his defense roll actually wasn't terrible. She only got 2 punches through with her reinforced gloves all said and done. 1 was a strength die, but that is enough with the 4 stun to knock him out, since he does only have 4 willpower. So he is knocked out, and that scored a Search and Destroy. And any model suffers at least 2 hits during an attack where a friendly model performed at least 2 efforts. They were free efforts, but they were still efforts, so that counts. She could technically move again after that, but she is next to the event marker. You know what? She might as well move just because she's next to that light, and that might give eyes on there. So she's going to be moved to the far side of it there. So down here where he popped out of that Surge Ring last turn, Mr. Combustible activated for Emperor Penguin. He sauntered around the tree over here in his nice tux, put down a suspect marker, and this time, this is mine is being played as an actual objective rather than a resource. Friendly model places a suspect marker in the enemy deployment zone, and there are more friendly suspects than enemies in the gaming area. Enemy suspects, sorry, that is. And the Soldiers of Fortune still have 0, and that puts the the Penguin crew back at 3. Flashpoint Batman was already up for the Soldiers of Fortune. He was down there next to Cuchillo. He used his built-in grapple gun, and he shot up here to deal with the problem. Now he could have used his guns, because they're assault and light, so you can shoot them at point blank. He, as a special action, oh we know he used precise blows. I don't think it mattered, but I forgot, yeah, he did precise blows and grapple gun. Can't do that, because precise blows is a special action, not just an action. Whoops. Well, I don't think it would have mattered, because the Thug only has 4 willpower, and he whiffed his defense roll. But yes, that was a mistake. Caught it in video, whatever. Either way, he did use his reinforced gloves, not his pistols. He knocked out the Thug with 6 damage, which was enough for a quick 1 point from They Must Know Pain. The Imperceptible Man activated without Audacity, but close enough to Emperor Penguin. They had a free Inspire. He walked up a little bit, put down a suspect marker, and scored the other goods raid, which is not in focus, for putting down a suspect marker and having at least 2 more in play than the opponent, which they most certainly do, because they still have 0. Infiltrate Op activated and made use of her Assault Red Dot rifle, although she didn't actually need the red dot. She moved here and shot down here at the Illuminated Hypnotic. Now because of the assault, She doesn't need to lose any dice, but she loses -1. So 3 on the strength die, and she needed 4s on her actual dice. She rolled 3 6s, a 5, and a 4. So nothing that Hypnotic could do. He is removed. No mind control shenanigans for you. But nothing scored for Soldiers of Fortune for doing that, and it triggered not buy-in, don't touch for the Penguin crew. The secondary potential way it happens. When an enemy model removes a friendly model as a casualty, mark it in some way. That model has a friendly suspect marker within 4 inches of it at the end of the round. She currently already does from 2 locations, so if that's still true at the end of the turn, it just scores. And she's the one that can move them, and she didn't. So chances are that is scoring. She stayed where she was because she wanted to be within of the event marker, incidentally. Emperor Penguin activated, and he rushed forwards his 10 inches into base to base with Malicia to attack her. He did not use his chains, he used his unarmed attacks, which are claws, so blood stun. She efforted twice to take away dice, he did not effort. Only 1 got through, unfortunately, for an additional 1 blood, 1 stun, so she's pretty safe at the minute. But the reason he didn't effort is so that he could score a card you don't see too often, Overdrive. When an enemy model makes an effort to defend itself against your attacks, don't declare an effort. So there we go, that's 2 points. Penguin's crew is doing a really good job just scoring cards here and there, but they are starting to suffer damage-wise. Simple activation for Cuchillo, who was near the circle ring there, but not in base-to-base with it, without Audacity. He just walked himself over here his 10 inches. Nothing much else to say. So it's over to... who does Penguin's crew have left at this point? They have Mr. Toxic, and I think that might be it. So Mr. Toxic hopped over the scenery there, over to here, and then did his radial waves, I think his attack is called. It's an expansive beam weapon with, it just does 1 blood, but it also has caustic and acid, so that means if it doesn't do damage, it still does 1 blood damage anyway, so it's basically guaranteed chip damage, and also makes the target suffer -1 to their defense till the end of the round, although that's not relevant here because this is the last activation for the Penguin crew. But the marker was placed in such a way that it didn't catch Emperor Penguin, but did catch Malicia and Infiltrate Op, and they both took 1 blood damage each, and he is also clearly within 4 of the event marker. So there was 2 activations left for the Soldiers of Fortune crew, and we're just going to cover both those now because they didn't have massive impacts. Eraser activated with Audacity rather. He moved his 8 inches, he put down a suspect marker for lack of anything better to do to start piling those up. And then the Sniper, the Sharpshooter, he can't fire 2 turns in a row because of reload, so he moved from his position there up onto the rock just so he is a little bit further away from Mr. Combustible down there, and that does take us to the end of the round. So at the end of Battle Round 2, both of the Penguin thugs are unconscious, and they are staying that way. Neither of them is waking up. No Phase 4 cards being played, so we can just look at the cards and play again. Now, when it comes to Domination, the card doesn't specify, for the purposes of counting up who has more models nearby, that they have to be conscious. So it's not going to score because of 1, 2, 3 versus 1, 2 within 4. So that is not scoring. And the not bind, don't touch for the Infiltrate Op, she has suspect markers within 4, so that is scoring for 2 victory points. And with that, we can jump into Battle Round 3. So here we are at the top of turn 3, and it is actually the Emperor Penguin crew who's taking first activation despite the pluses for the Soldiers of Fortune crew. We can take a look at who has Audacity in a moment, but there's finally a Phase 1 or Phase 2 card being played. It's a Phase 2, it's by the Penguin crew, and it is Smuggled Goods. So you place an event marker within 8 of the enemy deployment zone. It's being placed there in base to base with Emperor Penguin. Anyone can manipulate it. Enemy models move it 4 inches. Emperor Penguin models move it 2 plus X, where X is equal to the number of business counters. Haven't been mentioning them, but they have the maximum currently, which is 6, which means they can move it 8. And this card will score if it's in their deployment zone at the end of the round. And it is probably worth it because it is a 3-pointer, which isn't too shabby. So yeah, we can take a quick look. Although there are 6 models left for the Penguins crew on the table, only 4 of them are conscious, so obviously they're the ones with Audacity. Mr. Combustible down there. In terms of the Soldiers of Fortune crew, Malatisa, Tessa, Cuchillo, Eraser, and Flashpoint Batman are all the ones who have it. So Battle Round 3 got started with a less than bombastic turn from Mr. Toxic just to try and secure those points. He moved in and he manipulated the event marker. He's a free agent, so he doesn't have the Inspire from being a henchman. So he just had to use his own tactical action. It got moved back 8. It just has to be closer to Penguin's deployment by the end of the turn. So that might be enough as is. But yeah, he can do... Well, he could have used his special action to do Electric Storm, which is the same thing Nightwing has. It hit 2 friendlies as well as 2 enemies for double stun. Didn't seem worth it. So, first activation in Battle Round 3 for the Soldiers of Fortune was the Sharpshooter, and he used the last of his ammunition. He shot at Emperor Penguin. 2 the dice got through, that is 8 blood damage, but Emperor Penguin survived. He has 9 endurance, so he's alive on 1 HP. And then during the Sharpshooter's turn, Free For All was played, not relevant to what he actually did. They have to have more models and enemy models not suffering KO, see this one specifies, within 4 of the central gaming area. This is being used to mark the centre, so they have to have the most models within 4 of that by the end of the round. So we're back, and it was Emperor Penguin's activation. I'm sorry if I'm talking like it was a while ago since the last bit of filming. The power actually went out for like 20-30 minutes. So apologies if I forget to mention anything in the narration, but play had to be interrupted. Anyway, Emperor Penguin, he played They Must Know Pain as a resource to heal himself for 2 blood damage, so he's done that. He attacked Malatessa, I've been calling her something different every time I say her name again. Malencia, whoever. Attacked with his claws, only got the strength die through, all said and done, and because she countered at least 2 of the hits, by which I mean blocked, it actually triggered a scoring condition on Hardpoint, because she's also a veteran. So that scored for 2. Upon failing to do much damage, he then retreated over such that he is very close to the middle, so he's countering against that. Malicia was next up, and she chased down Mr. Toxic. They both efforted twice, that's how much she was allowed to do with what she has left. And all said and done, only the strength die got through, which is doubly bad because she was really trying to get at least 2 hits to score a card, but can't. They're both 6-7 miniatures as well, in terms of like willpower endurance, I believe. So she is 1 away from getting knocked out, and he's only at 4 of 6, so he's not as bad yet. Imperceptible Man was next up, close enough for that free Inspire. He moved back and he used it. Oh no, he had Audacity, so he didn't need to use it. He manipulated the event marker, moved it back 8, so now even if Batman goes after it, he will not stop smuggled goods from scoring. As a special action, he also used Concealment, so he can only be seen if he is in base to base with the enemy. Cuchillo activated with Audacity. He shot forwards behind the watchtower there. He put down a suspect marker, which you can just about see over there, and that met the criteria for a Black Ops. Putting down a suspect marker that he can't be seen, the suspect marker can't be seen, the objective card can't be seen, everything can't be seen. It scored for 2 points. You can go by Imperceptible Man or Emperor Penguin, they would both qualify. Mr. Combustible was last to activate this turn for the Penguin crew, and he didn't do much. He moved forwards his 8 inches, doesn't have anything he wants to do with his special action or anything like that. He's coming close to the Sharpshooter, who doesn't even have any ammo left, so, and has to reload. But yeah, he's moving there. So now Eraser and Flashpoint Batman get to activate and see off the penultimate turn. So it's actually 3 activations left for the Soldiers of Fortune crew. Forgot that the Infiltrate Op has not done anything. But it was Batman who activated first. Up there, he has a back cape, so he just moved his 10 inches, floating down when relevant to fall. Got him over here. For a special action, he used Rapid Fire on his pistols, because he couldn't use his back claw this turn. And he shot into Emperor Penguin. With it, his pistols are assault, so he didn't lose any dice. Rapid Fire adds an extra 1. But he was needing 5s on the normal dice, because it's 4, but -1 to his rolls because of assault. Only the strength I got through. So thanks to They Must Know Pain healing Emperor Penguin, he actually lived. And that might be relevant, although Batman is now obviously also within range of that. The Infiltrate Op went next without Audacity, so she used a special action as her actual turn to move 2 suspect markers within 8-4, which put them in base to base with her. Now Batman moving there put her within Inspire range, so she then used her Inspire to remove 1 of them, which leaves the other one in base to base with her, and during her turn a Global Offensive was put into play. I think that means already at that point it can score, because none of them are dead yet, and there's now only 3 markers. 1, 2... yeah, 3. So it has actually already scored, but Eraser might be able to reach and remove that one as well. So Eraser couldn't actually get quite close enough, it's like 11 inches away and he's 10, so he moved there. Then he did 20% before taxes on Emperor Penguin, so you do an opposed willpower roll. He passed it, so he is erasing Emperor Penguin's regeneration roll, so he will not be healing any of that blood. And that does take us to the end of the penultimate round. So the proper end of Battle Round 3, here we are, and for the unconscious thugs, he's staying unconscious, but the one with the triple blood machine gun has woken up, so he is actually just on the floor. No phase 4 cards being played, so we just go to the ones in play. The marker is closer to Penguin's zone, so Smuggled Goods has scored for that massive 3. Valuable Commodities stays in play, even though Emperor Penguin is close to dying and dropping them. Someone else could snatch them up for his side. Over here, Valuable Commodities stays with Batman. Free for All, 2 versus 1, that has scored for 2. And Global Offensive, 4 versus 3 suspect markers placed, so that also scores for 3. And with that, we are going into the final round. So here we are, dawn of the final day, and it is the Soldiers of Fortune taking first activation. Basically everyone who's left on the table that's conscious has Audacity. Mr. Toxic does not, and Infiltrate Op does not. I think those are the only 2 exceptions. There's a couple of Phase 1 cards and a Phase 1, Phase 2 card being played, so for Soldiers of Fortune, let's do them first. Domination is being played again. The event marker has been placed in base to base with this unconscious thug, because it doesn't say you can't put it in base to base with an unconscious person, so why not? They're also playing Die Hard, and it's being played on Eraser, because he seems the best, most likely person not to be murderized. If we come over here, for Penguin's crew, they're playing another Smuggled Goods. It's starting in base to base with Mr. Toxic there, and they're also playing their Die Hard, and it's being played on the Imperceptible Man down there. So with that, let's jump into the final turn. So Flashpoint Batman got the final turn started. He rapid fired, he shot into Emperor Penguin's back. 3 hits got through, 3 blood, 3 stun. The Emperor has fallen. Emperor Penguin is down. He dropped his loot, however Batman then moved over it for his movement action, so he's now holding his own loot and the enemy's loot. And stopped right down there. Oh, totally forgot to mention, apologies, but for that blatant murder of Emperor Penguin, it was worth exactly 1 victory point from catching a bullet, because he did exactly 6 damage. Mr. Toxic activated without Audacity. He only could do one thing, and that was to manipulate the event marker for Smuggled Goods. Moved to 8. Oh, actually, wouldn't it only be 2? Because it would be 2. Because when Emperor Penguin died, he loses all business counters. So in fact, it'll be roughly 2. I'll measure up correctly in a second. It's going to be 2 in that direction, so that's much worse. Eraser was next to activate. He moved up his 8 inches into base to base, with the sadly only 2 inches moved Smuggled Goods marker, interacted with it to move it back 4, so it's back there currently. And then during his turn, a free-for-all was placed, so again we know from last time it's roughly there. So if the Soldiers of Fortune have more within 4 of that conscious by the end of the turn, it will score. There isn't really anything else left that the Penguin crew can do to score, so they went for a little bit of denial. Thug 2 stood up because he was knocked down after waking up. He shot his triple blood machine gun. Sadly only 1 bullet got through to Kachillo, and he could see him, it was just within 8, so his camo vest wasn't protecting him. Had 3 blood, but he survived that hit easily. So now we're back over to the Soldiers of Fortune, assuming they can do anything else to influence the score as well. Infiltrate Op activated. She just moved closer to the centre to secure free-for-all. It leaves Imperceptible Man and Incombustible, Mr. Combustible. Yeah, he could go kill the Sharpshooter. It doesn't score anything. He could go try and hit Batman. He doesn't do enough damage to kill him, because I think his best damage is 8. Is that enough? 8 would not be enough. This is a very tough Batman. He has 10 endurance by default, so no, even if he got a perfect hit through, he wouldn't be able to kill him. And she could super jump to help secure the middle as well. So we are just going to call that there, but I think, honestly, I think Penguin's crew, or Emperor Penguin, I think they might still have this. So before we get to the final scores, we of course have to cover the cards in play. Valuable commodities for the Penguin crew? Nope, because Batman took them. Smuggled goods? Nope, because it ended closer to enemy deployment. Die Hard? Yes. Imperceivable Man? Survived. So that is 2 more points for Emperor Penguin. And we've got a lot of cards to go through for Soldiers of Fortune here. Their valuable commodities? Yes, Batman is holding them. Their domination? No. Well, wait, does this count? It only counts conscious people, this one, right? No, this is the one that counts anything. So, no. 2 versus 1. That doesn't score. Die Hard? Yes. Eraser survived. Free for All? Yes, because it's just their team that's around it. So that is still a lot of points. I'll double check the measurements there for Domination, and then we'll be back with the final scores. So here we are, it's time for the final score. I did think Penguin's crew took it, but that last push by the Soldiers of Fortune might have pushed them over, so let's see. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 23, 25 on the dot. 25 plays 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. It's actually further behind than I thought. I thought Penguin's crew was doing much better than that. But that might just be down to Soldiers of Fortune not scoring many cards early and scoring them later in the day. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, 25 plays 17, was it? Either way, it is a Soldiers of Fortune victory. Flashpoint Batman didn't really do much. It was the rest of his crew carrying it. But still an interesting one, and I'm quite fond of this table layout as well. So we'll be seeing it again in the future, I'm sure, with some new crews taking it on. Thank you very much for watching, though. I sincerely hope you enjoyed. Apologies if I missed anything during the power outage, but hopefully didn't. Thanks for watching, and see you in the future for more. Until then, ta-ta for now.